with us in Arizona. Hi, Daniel. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, David Christie?
Better than we deserve. What's up?
So I am a college student studying mechanical engineering. I am a rising junior, and I have a scholarship that pays for most of my college. I'm still a little bit financially dependent on my parents, and I'm just wondering what I should be doing with my money right now to best set myself up for the future.
Okay. Why does my screen say conflicting advice from family, and that has nothing to do with your question?
I do receive a lot of information from, say, my parents, friends, other family, and I just kind of want to clarify, like a good clarification on what I should do.
What do you think you should do?
I mean, my gut tells me just to stack my money up for my part-time job as high as I can until I get out of college. But a lot of other people say, oh, you need to put in a Roth IRA, you need to get a secure credit card, you need to put in mutual funds, like you say. So I just kind of want that clarification.
Okay. All right. So what I want you to do is not do what anyone says, me included. I want you to think through what makes sense. And if they can make a case for their argument and your thought pattern says, I'm learning from that person, I'm going to do that, then you could go with that. That becomes your decision. But you don't need to do what your crazy uncle said to do, or your dad said to do, or Dave Ramsey said to do, or Christy said to do, just because we said it. You need to do it because you understood it, it makes sense, and you implement it. So our argument would be, and you've obviously heard it before because you parroted it back to us, to pile up cash to get you out of school. So when you heard us say that, why do we say that?
I heard a similar story with a college student, just to both save up for like an emergency fund, but also just to avoid debt as much as possible.
Okay. Well, here's the deal, Daniel. The amount of money that you invest, how much money are we talking about investing?
Currently, I have about $3,500 left in this junior year and senior year, but I currently have no money to invest right now.
Okay,
but
so let's say, let's just
future.
pick a number. Let's say you invested $10,000 for 2 years, and you made a 10% rate of return for those 2 years. That'd be $1,000 a year for 2 years, so $2,000. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Or you kept that $10,000 in a pile to ensure that Daniel graduates with a degree without any debt in mechanical engineering. Dude, mechanical engineering on one hand, $2,000 in the other hand. I'll take mechanical engineering. Rate of return, ding ding, much higher. Daniel is a better investment than mutual funds.
I guess you're right. And I guess kind of like to follow up, and I guess I in my gut I already knew that, but when would you say is like a good time to start on like those mutual funds or like those endeavors to make myself passive income?
After you graduate.
Yeah, you're trying to get into the real world, Daniel. So like this pile of cash is, we were just talking about this, it's the peace of mind of the expenses you're going to incur from graduating to finding a place to live to figuring out a job. There's just going to be expenses as you transition to being independent. The other thing I would throw out there, you mentioned when you very first asked the question that you're still financially dependent on your parents. I would just say that since you are connected to them financially, let's have a conversation with your parents about expectations. What are the expectations of the amount of money they're giving you in this season of being in college? What's the expectation of what you're doing with your money? Because if they're expecting that you're working because you're going to offset your expenses, that's different than you're working and you're going to save it up and y'all agree on that. So just make sure that there's a conversation there about expectations while you're in school and they're funding you.
Here's the thing, folks, Daniel included. If you make a decision and you know why you made the decision, then when other people have opinions, you suddenly go, you don't have a vote. This is my life. And but if you make a decision because someone told you to, then someone else comes along and tells you to make a different decision, then you're going to constantly be running back and forth across the road until you finally get hit by a car. And so you need to really know why you're doing something. And that's why we tell people to never invest, for instance, unless you're dealing with someone with the heart of a teacher. But instead, people go and they invest with someone and they trust the person to do all the thinking for them. And then they say, that investment broker lost all my money. No, you did. You were stupid. You lost all your money because you didn't think for yourself. You didn't take the time to learn about investing. That's an example. And so, or they say, well, I just did what this guy said, and then I can't sleep at night. Well, that's because you don't know what you're doing. If you'll bother to learn what you're doing, it gives you a sense of confidence. Christy, you talk so much about confidence and competence are tied together.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we also talk about the different what leads to confidence. One piece of it is information. Like you're saying, you go do your homework, you figure out why and understand it. There's information of understanding the why. There's also, it's amazing how once we understand our why, you are able to withstand peer pressure and other people's opinions because you're like, no, this is why I'm doing it. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you say because I understand I've done my homework. This is what I'm doing and this is why I'm doing it. And you don't get a vote the way that you said it.
I've got a friend who has a PhD in economics from Cambridge. This guy's smart. And every time we're having dinner and we start talking about it, he goes, Ramsey, you don't borrow money. I said, no, I don't borrow money.
You're like, are we here again?
And he does this every time I'm with him. And he's baffled. Uh-huh. He cannot possibly grasp the idea.
Yeah.
And he's so condescending, but he's really smart.
Oh, yeah.
And he rolls his eyes. The eye roll is the worst condensation, right? And I'm just like, dude, you're at dinner. It does not give you a vote. You got a PhD, and you still haven't figured this out. No, I don't borrow money. And so when there's a COVID suppression, I'm not over here sweating in my boots like you with your broke self and your PhD.
Right.
So come at me. But I'm real comfortable in why I'm doing this, like as comfortable as anybody you'll ever meet, obviously. So, when you get comfortable in why you're doing something because you have the information and a sense of confidence in the information, and I'm making a decision based on this, then when your Uncle Henry with an attitude has an opinion at Thanksgiving dinner, then you can be nice to him and kind and just walk out the room going, that's Uncle Henry. He ain't right.
Yeah. And it comes from two different places, too. There's some things, like we teach in money, here are the baby steps, here are the best practices, here's the path to win with money. And there's some things, and I've seen you get calls like this, Dave, where it's kind of like, you turn it back to them. What do you want to do? What's right for you? And people so often like, tell me what to do. I'm like, well, you could do this or this. It's your life. What do you want to do? And when you start to figure out what do you want to do, what's your goals, what's your version of success, what's right for you, your family, your dreams, your future, and then you develop confidence in that, you're able to withstand Uncle Henry or whoever, the peer pressure, because you're like, no, it's my life. You want to parent your kids different? Go on ahead. You got kids. This is my kids. This is how I'm going to do it. This is how I'm going to live my life. These are my goals. It just gives you more of a ground to stand on in your own life, which, by the way, you got. It's your life.
That's the deal.